Air Force says it has put into service its new J-20 stealth fighters.
China's military says it has put its new J-20 stealth fighters into Air Force combat service. In a statement released on Friday, the Chinese Air Force said the stealth jets will improve the Air Force's comprehensive fighting ability and help it carry out the sacred mission of defending China's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. The military says the J-20 jets were developed domestically. The planes are capable of avoiding detection by radar. The military did not mention which units the stealth fighters have been commissioned into, but observers say the jets will likely be used in operations in the East China Sea, as well as in the South China Sea, where China has territorial disputes. China also announced on Wednesday that it used Russian-made Sukhoi 35 advanced fighter jets to conduct a mission in the South China Sea. The Communist Party-affiliated Global Times quoted an expert as saying the Sukhoi 35 jets could act as a significant deterrent to any outside force trying to disturb regional stability. The expert was also quoted as saying the J-20 fighters will further enhance the Air Force's combat ability if they are sent to the South China Sea. The move comes after President Trump vows to counter China military rise during his State of the Union speech.
As we rebuild America's strength and confidence at home, we are also restoring our strength and standing abroad. Around the world, we face rogue regimes, terrorist groups, and rivals like China and Russia that challenge our interests, our economy, and our values. In confronting these horrible dangers, we know that weakness is the surest path to conflict, and unmatched power is the surest means to our true and great defense. For this reason, I am asking Congress to end the dangerous defense sequester and fully fund our great military. As part of our defense, we must modernize and rebuild our nuclear arsenal, hopefully never having to use it, but making it so strong and so powerful that it will deter any acts of aggression by any other nation or anyone else. Perhaps someday in the future there will be a magical moment when the countries of the world will get together to eliminate their nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, we are not there yet.
We face growing threats from revisionist powers as different as China and Russia are from each other. Nations that do seek to create a world consistent with their authoritarian models, pursuing veto authority over other nations' economic, diplomatic, and security decisions. Rogue regimes like North Korea and Iran persist in taking outlaw actions that threaten regional and even global stability. Oppressing their own people and shredding their own people's dignity and human rights, they push their warped views outward. And despite the defeat of ISIS' physical caliphate, violent extremist organizations like ISIS or Lebanese Hezbollah or Al-Qaeda continue to sow hatred, destroying peace and murdering innocents across the globe. In this time of change, our military is still strong, yet our competitive edge has eroded in every domain of warfare: air, land, sea, space, and cyberspace, and it is continuing to erode. Rapid technological change, the negative impact on military readiness, is resulting from the longest continuous stretch of combat in our nation's history, and defense spending caps, because we have been operating also for 9 of the last 10 years under continuing resolutions that have created an overstretched and under-resourced military. Our military's role is to keep the peace for one more year, One more month, one more week, one more day to ensure our diplomats who are working to solve problems do so from a position of strength and giving allies confidence in us. This confidence is underpinned by the assurance that our military will win should diplomacy fail. When unveiling his national security strategy, President Trump said, "Weakness is the surest path to conflict, and unquestioned strength is the most certain means of defense." Ladies and gentlemen, we have no room for complacency, and history makes clear that America has no preordained right to victory on the battlefield. Simply, we must be the best if the values that grew out of the Enlightenment are to survive. It is incumbent upon us to field a more lethal force if our nation is to retain the ability to defend ourselves and what we stand for. The defense strategy's three primary lines of effort will restore our comparative military advantage. We are going to build a more lethal force. We will strengthen our traditional alliances and building new partnerships with other nations, and at the same time, we will reform our department's business practices for performance and affordability. And doing this, we'll earn the trust of the American people and Congress that their defense dollars are well spent. So let me go through each of the lines of effort, and I want to start with lethality, because everything we do in the department must contribute to the lethality of our military. The paradox of war is that an enemy will attack any perceived weakness. So we in America cannot adopt a single preclusive form of warfare. Rather, we must be able to fight across the spectrum of conflict. This means that the size and the composition of our force matters. The nation must field sufficient capable forces to deter conflict. And if deterrence fails, we must win. We will modernize key capabilities, recognizing we cannot expect success fighting tomorrow's conflicts with yesterday's weapons or equipment. Investments in space and cyberspace, nuclear deterrent forces, missile defense, advanced autonomous systems, and resilient and agile logistics will provide our high-quality troops what they need to win. Changing our forces' posture will prioritize readiness for warfighting for major combat, making us strategically predictable for our allies and operationally unpredictable for any adversary. Increasing the lethality of our troops, supported by our defense civilians, requires us to reshape our approach to managing our outstanding talent, reinvigorating our military education, and honing civilian workforce expertise. The creativity and talent of the department is our deepest wellspring of strength and one that warrants greater investment. And to those who would threaten America's experiment in democracy, they must know if you challenge us, it will be your longest and your worst day. Work with our diplomats. You don't want to fight the Department of Defense. The second line of effort I noted was to strengthen alliances as we build new partnerships as well. In my past, I fought many times, and never did I fight in a solely American formation. It was always alongside foreign troops. Now, as Winston Churchill once said, the only thing harder than fighting with allies is fighting without them. But we are going to be stronger together, and recognizing that, our military will be designed and trained and ready to fight alongside allies. History proves that nations with allies thrive, an approach to security and prosperity that has served the United States well in keeping peace and winning war. Working by, with, and through allies who carry their equitable share allows us to amass the greatest possible strength. We carried a disproportionate share of the defense burden for the democracies in the post-World War II era. The growing economic strength of today's democracies and partners dictates they must now step up and do more. When together we pool our resources and share responsibility for the common defense, individual nations' security burdens become lighter. This has been demonstrated right now today, for example, by over 70 nations and international organizations of the Defeat ISIS campaign that is successfully conducting operations in the Middle East. and again the 40-odd nations that stand shoulder to shoulder in NATO's mission in Afghanistan. To strengthen and work jointly with more allies, our organizations, processes, and procedures must be ally-friendly. The Department will do more than just listen to other nations' ideas. We will be willing to be persuaded by them, recognizing that not all good ideas come from the country with the most aircraft carriers.